there are a lot of times when I think, how much longer can I do this? Am I missing too much? Am I sacrificing the well-being of my kids so that I can advance my career? I would say guilt, but also frustration because I like my job. I like to work. But when I do that and I'm away from my family, and I don't think that there's a clear answer.
Hey, I'm Megan.
And I'm Erin.
We're the hosts of Lady Party, the podcast for women thinking about all the things and somehow still holding it all together.
We're talking careers, kids, pets, partners, aging parents, health, basically everything related to the mental load.
If you've ever laid awake at 2 a.m., like I have, making a to-do list, this isn't your place.
We're bringing in experts who actually get it because navigating this season of life should not feel like a solo mission. Welcome
to Lady Party.
Today, we are diving into the impressive world of traveling moms, those powerhouse women who jet set for work while keeping the home fires burning. And our guest today is an absolute legend, Kiesha Clayton. For 15 years, she has been a strategic communications professional working for some of the biggest names out there, Microsoft, Intel, Adidas. And now she is in corporate sustainability at Amazon. And when she's not at home with her husband and 2 kids, Kiesha spends a lot of time on the road, a lot. Attending conferences, meeting with influential leaders, like business mogul, titans of industry people, entertainment icons, global change makers. She has shared rooms with Leonardo DiCaprio and even King Charles. And she has spent time with my celebrity boyfriend, who actually knows her on a first name basis, Matt Damon. But being a globetrotter comes at a cost, like juggling family life and feeling the tug of being away from home. So today we're going to dig into what it's really like to balance an intense travel schedule with momming. And I'm acutely aware of even having this podcast about traveling moms. I've never heard a podcast about traveling dads. And that's not meant to like hate on dads. I'm just saying like, why is that? Why do we have that feeling? So, and is the guilt that we feel when we're all away from home, whether it's for work or personal, is that real or is that self-imposed? So Kiesha's here. She's going to share her insights, her stories, and maybe a few tips for making it all work. Welcome to Lady Party, Kiesha.
Oh my God, Erin, you make my life sound so much cooler than it is, but thank you. I'm really, really excited to be here. This is so much fun.
So, just really quick about King Charles. Did you know that he just dropped his own album?
Stop.
He just put a record together, I'm not joking, of like his favorite song. And he talks on it, like he narrates it. He's like, well, I mean, I can't do the posh English accent, but anyways, check it out. He just dropped an album. Yeah.
Megan, King Charles is hype woman. Well, I'm going to check it out. I can't wait.
Yep.
I can actually tell you the story of what it was like to meet him because it was really interesting. So I was at this global event in Rwanda. And, you know, there's all these whispers. People are like, oh my God, King Charles, or he was Prince Charles at the time. Prince Charles is here. He's here. And I was sort of like, okay. And they sort of came to me and my coworker who were there and they were like, he wants to meet you. He wants to hear about what you guys are doing in sustainability. And I was like, okay, great. So I had to learn like a quick curtsy because you actually have to curtsy. And so it was this whole thing. And he kind of like barely touched my hand. And I sort of like did my little curtsy and he was like, oh, so wonderful to see you. And like, didn't ask a single thing about our work or what we were doing. He just said hello and like kept it moving, but it was interesting. And he has really interesting hands.
There are like Instagram accounts dedicated to his hands.
To his hands. There are.
Yeah.
Well, your listeners can Google it, but he was very kind. So, yes.
Okay. Lovely.
Okay.
Yeah. So maybe let's start there. Let's have you walk us through your role at Amazon. And then I also want you to tell the listeners your typical travel schedule, because sometimes you tell me and you lose me because there's so many places.
Yes. I'm happy to. So I'll just kind of give you an overview. So I've been now working in corporate life for about almost 20 years. Travel has always been a part of my experience. So on the PR side, when I worked for corporate communications, we'd have to go, you know, whether I was like staffing an executive for a product launch or a news interview, you kind of go wherever you're needed as like a staffer and to make sure that things go well. And you kind of play this role of almost like a personal assistant in some ways. But since I've transitioned into corporate sustainability, there's a lot of very important meetings that happen, around the globe. So a lot of the time, the goal is for us to just have a presence, for us to show up and kind of show how much we're committed to sustainability. So my role right now, I lead recruiting and engagement for the Climate Pledge at Amazon. And the Climate Pledge is Amazon's commitment to reach net zero carbon by 2040. So this was something that we announced in 2019. We co-founded it with our NGO partner, Global Optimism, and sort of opened it up as a corporate pledge. Even for a company that has the size and scale and resources of a company like Amazon, we knew that there was no way that we were going to have the tech and the ability to sort of decarbonize our business without collaboration with other companies. We now have over, 535 companies that have said like, yes, absolutely, we want to work with you to do this. And so my job is really to get more companies to join, but also to develop and scale programs that help companies who have already made the commitment to decarbonize along with us. So, it's kind of a mouthful. If you don't understand sustainability terms, basically we're looking for ways to make our air cleaner, our water cleaner, and honestly, just for people who live in this world to feel like corporations are doing their part.
Okay, walk us through, because again, like when I think of Kiesha, I think of got to get on her calendar
Yeah.
because the travel schedule is so intense. And so walk us through normal schedule.
So it's interesting because most of the time I know that travel is coming. For example, I know well in advance that I'm going to be in Brazil in November. There's also a conference that happens every single September in New York. So I know I'm going to be in New York the last week of September. But then there are other things that sort of come up where we'll say like, hey, we need somebody to go speak on a panel. Kiesha, can you go do that? It's in LA. It's this week, go, book your travel, basically. I'm kind of entering a stage right now. So I actually leave for Japan on Saturday. And so I'll be in Japan Saturday through Friday. And then I come home on Friday. And then I'm home for 4 or 5 nights. And then I'm actually leaving for a personal trip on the next Thursday. I'm going to visit a friend in Palm Springs. And then I come back on the Sunday. And then I'm home for 1 day. And then we're going to Orlando. Then I come back and I'm home for a week. And then I leave for a sort of a rapid fire trip of New York, Miami, and LA all in 1 week.
First of all, okay, hold on. It's very personal, but like, what does your husband do? How do you stay connected? How do you tell him? Is it just an open conversation? Do you feel guilty? You're like, well, and
Yeah.
next month I'm going to be gone for 2.5 weeks. And then the next month I've got like, what's that conversation like with your husband? And then how do you stay connected when you're gone? And this is, oh my gosh, I'm jealous. Let me just tell you, I'm jealous because I love traveling. So, anyways.
Okay, so thankfully, my husband and I met working together years and years and years ago. So we kind of have the same, I think, mental approach to work, which is, aside from family, work comes first. So there's sort of this, I think, general understanding of like, if you feel like you need to be there, then go and lean in while you're there, embrace it. So I'm grateful for that. But my husband is permanently remote. He also still kind of works in corporate communications, which is busy. It's not like his job isn't important, or it's not like it's not busy. His job is very demanding.
And
Yeah.
He also works for a very well-known corporate
Yes.
company. So like
tech company.
It's not like he's a stay-at-home dad.
No, he's not a stay-at-home dad at all. I think there's a couple things. I've just put things on the calendar. That's how I kind of like broach the topic. So he sees things pop up when it's like, oh, and I put like mom in New York, working from New York this week. Like that's how it starts. And then I'm sure, most of the time later, he'll be like, oh, I saw you put that on the calendar. I'm like, oh yeah. So then I'll kind of back into it a little bit. But again, he's pretty supportive. How we stay connected, honestly, I was telling Aaron this a while ago. That is probably the thing I fail at the most is staying connected with my husband while I'm gone. In some ways, I probably take him for granted because we're married. He may say differently, but I'm like, he's not leaving me. You know what I mean? There's no way he's not leaving me. We are committed, right? And so in some ways, it's sort of like when I call home, he gives me a quick hi and like pretty quickly passes me off to the kids. And so I think it's great because there is a level of comfort there. There's just this level of like he's got my back. It's great, but probably something I could get better at for sure.
What about the kind of catching shade when you get home? Do you catch
You know,
shade? And then how do you handle that?
yeah. My husband loves to throw some shade. He might tell you otherwise, but a little micro, like passive aggressive. Not all the time. I think when it's been a particularly hard week or, if it ends up one of the kids has been sick and so he's got them at home. And for context, my daughter's turning 5 in a couple of weeks and then my son will be 8 in June. So they're getting a little bit older. They're definitely more manageable than babies, but when the 5-year-old is home, she's in your face. So it's not easy. But I would say, he gets over it pretty quickly. I kind of say like, you go do whatever you need to do. I'll hang out with the kids so you can just kind of have some mental space because it's a lot, right? And as happy as I am to see him, I also appreciate needing to have personal space after being a single parent for however long it's been. But, it's more of the what I come home to, which often means my daughter hasn't had her hair brushed in however long I've been gone. Her hair is long and curly to her butt. And I come home and I'm like, oh my God, did you try? Did you try? You didn't? Okay. Well, let's so that it's like me sort of working through the knots of her hair. And then not a single piece of laundry has been done. So I'm kind of like diving back into mom stuff pretty quickly. So the shade is real. I do get a little bit of shade, but for the most part, he's pretty good about it. But I think we've just been doing this for so long now. We've got into a little bit of a rhythm.
Yeah, I feel like you couldn't do it any other way. I feel like
No.
it seems like your relationship started kind of that way where you guys were working really hard and had really, big jobs. And so I feel like, I don't know, you could do it, but the stress of having somebody give you the shade of that, like, oh, you're leaving again.
Yeah.
And then you're at your
Yeah.
work and then you're kind of like in the back going, oh my gosh, what am I doing with my family? You couldn't really
Yeah.
be as professional, I would think. I mean, it would get to you. So
Yeah. And I definitely think, again, he's super supportive and really, I mean, he's a great dad. He's great with the kids. He's very involved. We have a very 50-50 relationship for sure. But, I still feel bad. I still feel bad that I'm not here. And sometimes that means he's doing double duty on a lot of things. So, I complain about the laundry, but I'm also like, the kids were fed. They made it to where they needed to be on time. They're healthy, and so it's kind of this mental juggle of, be grateful for the fact that he is willing to support me and willing to manage all this while I'm not there. So
I have a question. Okay, and this probably will give a little bit of insight into my own marriage. But
mhm.
I mean, because I don't get tit for tat
Yeah.
but maybe I get resentful if like his time away is stacking up and I've been at home because just the slog of
Yeah.
let's pick him up from school and dinner and bedtime and all like it's a lot to put on one person. It's like being a single parent for a week
Totally.
at a time or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's hard to not have some level of resentment, and I get over it if it's not even, but in your case, it is really uneven.
It's not. It's very uneven. I think because I've been doing it for so long and he used to travel a lot more. He doesn't really travel much at all. So I think we're also in a season right now where he's just like, go for it, which is really, really helpful.
So whenever I've seen you, right, I've never seen your husband. And I'm in my head, I'm like, gosh, she really is like, why doesn't she just like, is like, takes care of the kids all the time? Like, that sucks. Like, why doesn't she have time? And I'm like, oh my
Which is
gosh,
hilarious.
never mind. I'm
Now you
changing that.
know. Now you know. Yeah, now you know why. Because honestly, my husband is so friendly and so fun and so engaging. But when he is done, he is done. And he needs to have his like quiet recharge time. So a lot of the time, even though he's like, God, I would love to go hang out with friends, but I also just need a minute. I'm like, okay, bye. I got it. Like, I will take the kids and go so you can do your thing. And so that probably is a result of the fact that I'm gone so much. And so we try and give each other that balance. So that's hilarious though.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm like, oh my gosh, she never like, God, she's so
What a
Opposite.
what a
What a deadbeat dad. Totally. No, it's the opposite for sure.
Okay, Kiesha.
Yes.
Another question for you. Okay, so anybody that has ever met Kiesha, Kiesha is always 100% put together. I have never in my life seen you look tired.
That's nice.
I have a question that's kind of twofold. One is when you're doing all of this literally globe-trotting travel, you're jumping time zones and you're on red eyes and you're having to show up at work professional. I'm
Yes.
curious tips and tricks in terms of how do you do, I mean, are you like melatonin or Ambiening on a plane so you get sleep?
Yeah, that is a really good question. Totally depends on where I'm going and how long I'm going to be there. I am definitely more of the like grip it and rip it. Let me stay awake as long as I can. If like for Japan, right? So I leave Saturday at noon and I will get there Sunday at like 3 p.m. in the afternoon. So I leave in the day and I arrive in the day, which always just kind of like messes with you. But if I can stay awake on that 10-hour flight from Seattle, if I can stay awake, then when I arrive in Japan, I can just keep it moving, right? Like I get off the plane, I will get outside, I will go for a walk, or, I'll go to the gym or I'll go get a facial. Like I try and do things that will limit as much stress as I can to be able to go to bed that night and wake up the next morning and like go right into work stuff. So I try and get myself as tired as possible without sleeping on the plane because then otherwise everything's all messed up. Like, you have no idea where you are in the world. And so a lot of the times I try not to sleep unless I'm on a red eye. And even a red eye, I try and get like maybe 2 hours of sleep so I'm not totally crazy. But again, then wake up and just go. Like a lot of the times, if I can, the first thing I will do when I arrive is either go for a walk or go to the gym just to kind of get my body moving after the flight, but also to shock my body almost into reality of like, okay, we're here. Focus on what you need to do. I'm not a melatonin girl though.
I traveled a lot too. And I I don't know what I would have done having to stay up on a flight. I would have gone crazy. I wouldn't be able to stay awake on a flight that long of a flight. What do you do?
Those long flights are hard. I will say, so I did get this eye mask recently though. Well, actually it's like a headrest eye mask thing where basically you like put the headrest on the back of your seat and then the eye mask sort of like straps your head in. So if your head starts to nod, you're kind of, it's like a sling kind of for your head, but with an eye mask. So, but that is great. I actually did use that. So when I went to Brazil earlier this year, I used that because I was on a red eye. And it was great. I was like, okay, if I got to get a couple hours of sleep, this thing works. Like, and I'm sure people looked at me like I was a psycho, but
Send us the name of that sucker and
I will. I'll send you a link. I'll send you the link. It's a good one.
I mean,
for sure.
That's always the problem on those flights is like your head nodding down and waking you up again, especially when you have a lay down seat.
Well, and that, I don't often get to travel in business class. So it is, steerage all the way a lot of the time.
You have to have 1,000,000 miles.
I do. Yes. So that is where, so my own mileage status, I'm a Delta Diamond now, 3 years running. So I do get upgrades, but the way that our travel policy works is we're not booking, business or first class. You kind of book the best seat you can get. And then using your own status or miles, you can upgrade as you want. So sometimes I can get away with it. Japan is not that. So I'm going to try and stay awake as long as I can in my tiny upright seat. And the other thing, I'm really tall. So I'm 5'10", Megan, I know you're tall too. And you kind of just have to grin and bear it.
So we talked a little bit about your husband and
Yes.
It seems like he's super supportive, which is amazing. How about your little kiddos? How do they handle mommy traveling for work?
They, in some ways, now that they're older, it's easier, but in a lot of ways it's harder because now they can articulate to me how they actually feel. But actually this is a good sort of segue into some of my little travel tips for kind of working mom on the road is I always tell them, I always give them a week in advance at least to let them know that I'm going to be gone. Dad is going to be home with you. So you're going to be just fine. Here's how many nights I'm going to be away. And if it's a new place that I've never been to before, like I've never been to Japan. So this is a first timer for me. I will show them like photos of the place that I'm going and get them kind of excited about it because I do think as much as it's hard for me to be away and I hope they have a positive association with travel. Like we've done some fun family trips. I do worry about them being like, my mom was always gone when I was little. And, so what I want them to understand is that the work I'm doing is important, but I'm also getting to go to some really interesting places and I want them to be excited and want to explore the world. I did not grow up like that. Like I did not grow up with any sort of ability to travel. We're not going to Hawaii for midwinter break. We were like going to my grandma's house so my mom could keep working. I didn't go on a plane until I was 14. Like that was the first time I went on an airplane. And so it's exciting for me to be able to do this. So I want them to feel the same way. But so I always give them advance warning and then basically say, you can call me anytime. And I'll call you in the morning before you go to school, and I'll call you at night unless the time zones don't work out. And my daughter, she doesn't like it. She gets mad. She gets angry and she'll tell me like, I don't want you to go. I don't like this, but she gets over it quickly. My son is the one who will really stick it to me in terms of so this is actually reversed. A couple weekends ago, my husband was in San Diego for, a golf trip with some friends. And when we were telling our son Theo about it, he immediately broke into tears and was like, why does everyone I love have to leave? And I was like, oh God, like, and this is just for like a 2-night trip. And a part of me is like, is it because dad is always here? And so now that dad is the one that's leaving, it's making you sad? Or do you always feel like this? And you just don't say it. And so, I was really stressed about telling him about this Japan trip, but he got over it once I started showing him pictures of Japan and kind of, he's really into Pokemon. So I was like, you know where Pokemon's from? Japan. So I was able to kind of work around it a little bit, but I've definitely promised gifts. I'm definitely bribing my kids. Like, I'll bring you something back that's really cool and you're going to love it. And I can't wait to show you pictures of my trip. And then when I get home, I do try really hard to do like, hey, Theo, let's have a mother-son date and the two of us, let's just go out to dinner. Or, let's go out for ice cream and, let's go to the park, just the two of us. So I try and do individual time with each of them. And then obviously as much family time with the four of us as we can. Yeah.
Are you setting alarms when you're away? Like, because you said you call them before school, which is amazing.
While I'm there, I'm actually working a lot of the time. So that means I'm either in a meeting or doing whatever event I'm there to do, or I'm on my laptop actually getting work done. So I keep my laptop clock Pacific time. So that is kind of my little trick. So like, oh, okay, it's time for me to go, call the family real quick.
Do you feel like as a working, traveling mom, do you get judged by other people?
I think I get judged more for being a working mom, and I commute into the office five days a week. So I get more judgment for that than the travel. I think you both kind of had this, which was like the jealousy of the travel is more of what I get from other moms. And I will say that is one of the other things I wanted to make sure to talk about today, which is that like while I am traveling, yes, I am there for work. I'm leaning in on whatever it is that I need to do, but I also really try and enjoy it. I don't let myself feel guilty about being away. Again, I keep talking about this Japan trip, but Japan's always a place that's been on my bucket list forever. And the fact that I get to go for work, and we'll get to experience a little bit more of the culture because I'm working with local companies there. We'll get recommendations from local folks on where to eat and where to go. That is a benefit for sure. So I always try and just kind of embrace it and have a good time. And also, you both know this as moms, when was the last time you were a fully independent person moving through the world without a kid literally like dragging you as you skip down the street, or you're at a restaurant and you're trying to get your kids to stop like kicking each other under the table and like eat their food? When I am traveling, I get to be that person again. And it's really nice. And I think that it is, in some ways, really, really good for me as a human being to remember, yes, I'm a mom first and foremost. That is my favorite job in the world. But at the same time, I get to be me for, a few days at a time, which is really nice.
When I get that feeling just for like 3 hours, I am like,
Yes.
oh my gosh, I love this person. Here she is.
She's still here. Yeah, exactly. Totally.
Yeah, let alone like to be able to go explore a new country as that person. I mean,
Yeah.
I literally fantasize about that.
Yeah. Well, and kind of back to your question, I definitely feel more judged being a full-time working mom. I'll use another example. Quinn, my daughter, is in dance class, and it's of course classic. It starts at like 3 o'clock on a Wednesday. Who can do that? Not me. And thankfully, my husband a lot of times can pop out and take her. But we also have a friend that, takes her because her daughter is also in it. And I don't even know where the dance studio is. I'm being dead serious, and I feel so bad about that. If I had to take them to dance, I would literally have to be like, okay, where is it? Where do they change? What do and that to me is the thing I think I get judged for. Like, I have people say, I think your daughter is in dance, but I've never seen you there. It's like, yeah, because I'm working, and I don't think it's meant to be malicious or rude, but it's also sort of like, of course, I wish I could take my daughter to dance, but I can't. And again, so I try really hard not to dwell on that stuff or let it sort of get me down. But when moms call it out, you're kind of like, oh, God, I
Well,
don't need that.
so it sounds like that is a guilt feeling. So
Totally.
how do you handle that guilt? Does it build up to where you're just like, oh my gosh, I really can't do this anymore? Or how do you
Yeah,
manage
definitely.
that?
There are a lot of times when I think, how much longer can I do this? Am I missing too much? Am I sacrificing the well-being of my kids so that I can advance my career? And I think that I definitely I would say guilt, but also frustration because, I like my job. I like to work. But when I do that, I'm away from my family, and I don't think that there's a clear answer. Um, and I think for me in particular, like I said, like I did not grow up in a place of privilege or sort of having, any sort of safety net. And so I've always worked. It's always been something that I've done. And would I love to take a break someday? Absolutely. And I hope to be able to do that while my kids are still in the house. But I definitely have these moments of really deep frustration in terms of like, I wish I could not worry about money or insurance, but I also then on the other side, I'm sort of like, I want to show my kids that I can chart my own path and that I can accomplish things that I have on my list of goals, which, so
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking of setting an example for them, a great example.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And I think that's an excellent point to make because and I want to spend a couple of minutes here. And again, this podcast is not meant to hate on men. We love men.
We love them. We have husbands. Yeah.
So this isn't, in having this conversation, it's not meant to be a man hater topic. But I'm just curious about your point of view on, again, I doubt there's a podcast dedicated, and maybe there is, but I doubt there's been much thought around. So Dad, what do you do to mitigate the guilt you feel when you're traveling? So I recognize that just by doing this podcast, there's kind of a double standard,
Yeah.
And I don't mean to further that double standard, but I'm just curious about your point of view on how those expectations differ between working moms and working dads.
Yeah. I mean, I have a really great team of mostly women, and there's also several women of color on the team. And, these are hardworking, super smart women who literally have said to me, yeah, when I'm at work, I'm boom, boom, boom. I'm like getting things done. We're moving on. And then the minute I get home, I'm making dinner and I'm doing laundry and my husband sits down. And I'm like, why are they sitting? Why are we sitting? We have so much to do. But like, I do think, in a hetero relationship, for better or for worse, there are a lot of those like entrenched ways of working and living. And I do think that moms get the short end. Oh my God. Aaron and I have talked about this so much, the like mental load of the mom, right? The things that I get done in a 30-minute span. And then, I come home and yes, my husband has been working. The kitchen is clean. Like there's a lot of stuff that he's done, but then at the same time, a lot of things land on mom's shoulders, even when you have a supportive partner. And yeah, I don't want to further the stereotype, Erin, but yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it caught my eye when you said I come home and then I do like the laundry and I have to brush my daughter's hair, cut like because it hasn't been
Literally,
brushed.
yeah.
So but then you said I just do the mom stuff. Like laundry isn't a man's thing either. It's like, it just kind of like it's just what we do and it's those stereotypes that we have in society.
I will say, my husband, I haven't done dishes in a really long time. Like it's just something I cook and he cleans up the kitchen. So that's kind of that's a perfect example of the balance between the two of us, right? He kind of takes care of all the like lawn outdoor stuff. I don't take the trash out, but
I think it's a good point because I mean, some of it is just society expectations, and then some of it is just the routines in terms of a marriage. Grandma, I will never forget what this advice she gave us, or not even advice. She was kind of scolding us, but we were visiting her one weekend, and she's like, "You guys have made it so hard on yourselves." And when she says you guys, she's talking about like our kind of generation of people, like women who are working and men who are doing more of the kind of domestic home stuff. She's like, you guys have made it so hard on yourself. And she was a super progressive lady. But she's like, look,
yeah,
in my day, I knew my role. And granted, yes, my role was laundry, kids, cooking, cleaning, booking all the social events for our family. And his role was to go to work and make money. But you guys now all think about all the things all the time. Like I only had to think about my things. And so my brain was free for the times where I was like, look, I got my jobs done and I'm good. Whereas his brain was full of like, all right, I got to go make money for this family and provide. But then when I get home, like, I'm good. So it was
yeah,
just like we were 50-50 and you guys are both 100 all the time. Like you've
yeah.
overcomplicated what you think about.
I don't disagree with that. And on it, like, again, we talk about this all the time. Like, my job is pretty cool. And so to think about walking away from that, I'm kind of like, I really don't want to do that. But again, like, do I wish I was home more and got to focus on that? Absolutely. I was getting ready this morning and I like was looking for a towel and I opened a drawer that was just like overflowing with unfolded towels. And I was like, oh God, like when am I ever going to be able to I'm never going to fold those towels. It's just not going to happen. So it's things like that that you kind of just like, for right now, it is a season, but I don't disagree with that point of view.
Okay, you're getting ready to go on this Japan trip and you're going to be gone for a week and you're home for a few
Yeah.
days and then you go on a personal trip. And so I'm just curious in terms of, again, like Catholic guilt inside of me, I would just be overrun with guilt because I've been gone for a week. The idea of like then telling my husband, and now I'm going to leave for the weekend to go hang out with my girlfriend because I need my personal time. Like my travel time is not personal time, that's work.
It's not.
So
It's work. Yes.
how do
That, again, I will say it helps that. So, we live on the West Coast. My husband's from the East Coast. So, in order to see a lot of his friends, he has to travel to see them. So, I try and do like a girls' trip at least once a year, sometimes more. And he's super supportive of that. And again, I just kind of put it on the calendar. And then he'll be like, oh, I see that you're going here to visit your friends. And I'm like, yeah. Yep. And so again, for the most part, he's like cool with it. But It is a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot to expect for someone to kind of hold the household down during that time. But at the same time, do I not get to go see my friends? I think that there is this level of if you're going to do it and don't feel bad about it, kind of. Just embrace it. Obviously have the conversations you need to have with your partner or your spouse to kind of help them understand why you need to do this. But at the same time, when I am home, I am present, I'm, super involved. I'm committed to making sure that they get a lot of me and that I'm then kind of supporting what they want to do. So I try really hard to not feel guilty. If I want to do it, I'm going to do it and I'm going to enjoy it and kind of sort of make up in other ways at home when I can.
I do the calendar thing too, and I don't say anything. I just had him ask me a question about a trip that I put on the calendar, and I was like, "Oh yeah, we'll talk about that when you get home." Okay, bye. Yeah.
Yeah.
See ya. So I just realized out of myself. But what would you tell? I think I know the answer to this, and I think I know what you're going to say because it seems like you fully embraced your job, which is great, and you have that support system with your husband. But any advice you'd give to moms who are considering whether or not to take a job that involves a lot of travel?
I think I would say, I don't want to say don't take it, but understand what you're getting yourself into and what that's really going to mean, both for you and for your kid and for your spouse. Just be really honest with yourself about where you are in life, how old your kids are, the state of your family, all of those things. Like, again, if my husband wasn't super supportive, would I be as comfortable traveling as much or really embracing the stage I am in my career? Probably not. If I couldn't call home and talk to my kids because they were too young to kind of engage with me on FaceTime or whatever, I think it would be really, really hard mentally to be away. But at the same time, like we talked about, like being able to be an independent person for a period of time while you're away is really, really valuable. So in addition to it potentially giving you the opportunity to advance your career and be in important rooms, so there is going to be a give and take. So I would just say be really honest about where you are personally and kind of the state of your career and your family before making that choice.
Do you guys know about the company Milk Stork?
Yes, I used it.
Oh, you did? That's my friend Kate's.
I did.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, no, I used it when I had Theo. So Theo, my son was born in 2017 and I traveled a little bit while I was still nursing. And so I used Milk Stork to pump and then they would like overnight my milk home. And it was great.
Cool.
Yeah, it's so cool. We have the same investors, and so our investors introduced us. But Kate was working at
Cool.
Cliff Bar, and then she had to go on like a 4-day work trip, and she was like, "Wait, she had 7-month-old twins who had been exclusively breastfed up until this trip," and she was like, "So I can't travel for work if I'm breastfeeding? That doesn't make sense." And so that was like the bing, the light bulb for
So smart.
where now like women are traveling all over the globe and overnighting their milk home to their babies.
That's amazing.
I love that.
I did it once and I had
Yeah.
they let me take it on the plane. They'll let you take breast milk, and when you can only take 4 ounces, but they would let me take all that milk.
Yeah, I think it's great. Again, something in my body is like boys wouldn't even think twice about state of travel. So
I think you're right. I
don't know. Okay. All right. Other tools.
Oh, yes. Other tools. Okay. So again, this is perfect timing. So before a trip, I literally start mentally organizing everything I need to do for myself and for my family about a week in advance. So right now, I'm about midway through that process. I've ordered prescriptions, I've picked them up. I'm starting to think about what is the one meal that I can make and keep it in the refrigerator for them, just so that they have one, homemade thing. My husband does not cook, but he figures it out. So, I try to make like a soup or a pasta sauce or something that they just can have and like easily pull out of the fridge. I try and get like all the laundry organized before I go and all the kids like sports stuff, like okay, my son's bag for taekwondo is organized. All of Quinn's like ballet stuff is washed and like in an easy place to find. So it's kind of this like each day I kind of take on a task. And today I'll start figuring out like what do I need to take? You know, which suitcase am I going to bring? Where are my packing cubes? Do I have all my toiletries? And it kind of just slowly ramps up into, you know, I'll start packing tomorrow night. So it's definitely a process. I always check the weather, make a list of what I need to bring, what kind of meetings I have, what kind of events I have. So figuring out like, what is it that I need to pack?
Is there
Deciding.
is there a staple? Is there like a pair of pants or a sweater or whatever? Like, is there like just a staple that's in every suitcase?
I normally bring a black blazer. That's like the one thing because I can throw it on with like jeans or with a dress or with a skirt. I always bring one pair of dress shoes. So whether that means it's like a heel or a boot that I can put on with outfit. I also always pick a color tone. So I only have to bring black shoes. So then I only have to bring black belts and things that go with black. Or, you know, in the summer, it's always like a little bit more fun where I'll kind of like ditch the darker colors and go with like a brown sandal. And like, that's the shoe I'm going to wear to every event. But it does, you know, I've even gotten to the point where I will try on every outfit just to make sure that I feel comfortable in it. So then I'm not just like throwing a bunch of stuff into my suitcase just so that I have options. Try and get really specific about what I'm going to wear and when, so that I'm not overpacking. Honestly, then I have room in my suitcase if I want to shop or buy anything.
What about on the plane? Is there like you have your go-to sweats?
Oh, yes. So, our friend Megan just opened a cute boutique called Wave Kelly, and she has Splits 59. It's a athleisure brand, and they have some of the most comfortable stuff. And so I have this pair of like bright green track pants that I wear, and they're like big and flowy and like cool looking. So I wear those and like some kind of like a hoodie or like a sweatshirt, and then I'll put a denim jacket over it. Just again, wearing some of the pieces that I would want to have with me on the trip. But yeah, Splits 59, that stuff is great.
I love the pick a color tone. That's awesome.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
makes it like so much
Yeah.
easier.
Yeah. Yeah. And the overpacking, I mean, nobody wants to schlep a 70-pound bag.
What about it? Is there a suitcase brand or a backpack brand or anything that you just love or that you like less? Oh, wait, I know this about you.
You do know this about me. Okay. Blame Tracy, my husband. Okay. So last year for Mother's Day, Tracy, my husband, was like, I decided to get you like a really cool suitcase. So he got me a Rimowa carry-on bag. I didn't even know that he knew what Rimowa was. And just for your listeners, Rimowa is like a very fancy aluminum hard case suitcase that has a lifetime warranty. So if it gets broken, you ship it back, they fix it, they'll replace everything. And part of the like charm of Rimowa is that the bags get like dented and scratched and they kind of reflect your travel experiences. A lot of people put like stickers all over them based on where they've been. But so he got me the carry-on size, which I love. But then I was in Germany last year where Rimowa is manufactured, and I got like the big dog check-in suitcase. Also love it. But I mean, it's just like so unnecessary, but it makes me so happy. Like when I pull those suitcases out to travel, I'm like, oh, they're just so pretty.
It's not unnecessary. You travel so much. It's like you have to have like.
All right.
Yeah.
Rapid fire.
I'll go first. Okay. The best book you've read or listened to lately?
Oh God, you guys. What is that series?
Don't tell me. Did you dragon fairy love?
It was a dragon book. It was good. But you know what? I'm a big book listener. As I age, I fall asleep when I read. And so I like to listen to audiobooks while I travel. So the last book that I listened to that I really liked was called The Three Lives of Kate Kay by Kate Fagan. It's a good one.
Nice.
Okay. You've been in so many of them. Favorite airport?
Ooh, my favorite airport. Oh my God, I have a good one for this. CDG. Charles de Gaulle in Paris. It is the best airport. Some people might be like, oh God, I hate that airport. But you want to know why I love it? It's because cheap luxury shopping. If you're going to buy anything, if you have anything, any luxury item on your list, you can get it. The exchange rate, it has been good recently. And also you get tax-free shopping. So Charles de Gaulle.
I like it.
Nice.
All right, what's your guilty pleasure? It can be a food, it can be Bravo, it can be Housewives,
My
anything.
guilty pleasure.
Guilty
You guys,
pleasure.
I'm so boring right now. Aaron turned me on to Beast Games, and like I was watching it and I was like, I don't know if I love or hate this, but I'm gonna keep watching it. So I downloaded some episodes for my trip.
Okay,
Nice.
2 more. App or tool that you just cannot live without.
ChatGPT. You guys,
I'm obsessed with it.
I'm obsessed with it. It's actually, I use ChatGPT and like what's the other one called?
Gemini.
Claude.
Oh yeah, Claude.
ChatGPT and Claude more than I use Google now. I actually, when I was trying to figure out where to stay in Tokyo, I chatted with ChatGPT and I said, I'm going to Tokyo for the first time. Here's when I'm going to be there. Here are the things that I want to be able to quickly go and see. Again, I don't know how much free time I'm going to have. So it's like, what can I, if I have an hour in the afternoon, what's close to my hotel that I could walk to, just to kind of experience a little bit of the culture. And it gave me like a whole itinerary. It was great.
Yeah, I feel like they're more specific.
Yes, it's great.
Okay, morning person or night owl?
Oh, I'm a morning person, sort of unintentionally. But as we've sort of transitioned back to commuting into the office every day, I have found 5 a.m. wake up, 5:15 exercise, 6 a.m. kids are up, we're doing breakfast, we're doing that whole thing. And I just feel so much more settled because I'm not rushing from thing to thing. So if I can give myself the time in the morning, I can kind of like settle into the day, but then I'm exhausted by like 8:30. I'm sure that Aaron has texted me and I've been like asleep at 8 p.m. So.
Okay, wait, I've got one last one because I love credit card points, but like best points credit card.
Okay. I have an opinion that might not be popular, but American Express. I have the American Express Delta Select purple credit card. And then my husband has the American Express Platinum and has added me as an authorized user. So the reason I like those 2 cards is you get lounge access, both to the American Express Lounge and the Delta Lounge. I book all my travel on those cards, and so it helps get status for travel. And you can convert a lot of those points into things like upgrades at hotels. If you use the American Express Platinum to book your trip, like through their travel site, you get automatic like early check-in, 4 p.m. check-out. You get credits for your stay. So you'll get like $100 breakfast or spa credits. So I am a big American Express travel cards queen.
Yeah, they're really good.
Okay. Kiesha, thank you for bestowing your wisdom on being a globe-trotting mama.
Thank you. Well, thank you for having me. I think you make my job and life sound really cool. But I appreciate it. I know that there are a lot of women doing their absolute best, and it's nice to be able to.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
If you love the episode or learn something, be sure to share it with somebody that needs to know.
We'd love to hear from you. Any topics you want us to cover, send us a message.
And don't forget to come hang with us on Instagram and TikTok. We'll see
you next time.